focus, which is healthy aging. Now, a very important and very interesting topic. And I hope in the next 45 minutes to 1 hour, we're going to do a lot of learning. And this learning is going to specifically concentrate on this area alone. And then we'll also have some interaction. So let's go that way. And we also would like to hear more from you at later part of the session. So, having been in healthcare for about 23 years now, a lot of ups and downs we have noticed when we talk about people's health. We always want people to stay healthy, and we also want ourselves to age very gracefully, right? All of you will agree with me when I say this. And therefore, let's understand more on this very, very special area of interest. And I'm sure it will be very intriguing for all of you as well. And that's where we need to understand more and understand as well as to what kind of tips, what else can we do in this area of healthy aging. Well, when I say this, most of you are going to agree with me because age as such is something which is going to come with us. It's very much inevitable. It is, very much unpredictable, and it is very, very progressive in its whole presentation. And we also know that it is variable. So this is where we're going to bring in more insights to say how can we look at ourselves as we age. What are the specific understanding we need to have when we age, because it is the only thing which comes to us without any effort. And this is very true, and we have to accept this. The more we accept, the more we run through, we are going to go ahead with a lot of grace. Well, when we look at healthy aging, why are we specifically concentrating on this area? Because we see that there is high functional capacity and we need to bring down the risks, because the lower the probability of the diseases, the lower the burden of diseases as well. So there is a big capacity of cognition in general for human beings. So we'll have to ensure that as we age, we have to maintain the high capacity of cognitive skills and physical functioning. And that's exactly what we would like to do. So how else? Maintaining interpersonal relationship, having active engagement, all these are going to play a very crucial role. So when we look at this aspect, it's important that we just take a poll. I just want all of you to pay an attention as we start the session, because I want you to tell me what you think is more important for healthy aging: diet, exercise, or both. So I request Durgaram to launch the poll so that we have our participants giving their insights. So all of you, agree, and you all understand that both are very important. 90% of you say that diet and exercise both are extremely important, and that's the first step of learning. Now, when we go ahead, let's understand more about it, right? So we need to know that it's just not about our diet and lifestyle. What more do we include in this whole process? That's very, very important for us. And what are these aspects? Physical health, mental health, spiritual health, social health, and a lot more dimensions attached to this. Therefore, this is a lifestyle we talk about, and extremely important for us to understand that each of them have a specific repercussion to our day-to-day activities. Now, let me also just introduce you to the Ayurveda perspective of aging. And when I say this, it's important for us to know that there is a science behind aging in Ayurveda, and that is called the science of Rasayana. So there are 8 branches in Ayurveda, and one of the branch is called Rasayana, and that wholly and solely is devoted to the process of aging, where we understand what are the methods we have to take up to improve ourselves as we age, what are the preventive mechanisms we can adapt, and how can be our focus. So this is otherwise said to be a phase where the vata is more. And when we talk about the elderly, right, so we say that it is a phase after 60 and 65, we say that this is a phase where the vata is predominant. And that is why we see a lot of vata based features like thinning down, wrinkling of the skin, maybe a little bit of weak to moderate digestion, constipation, so many things which we observe as we age. Also, main thing is sleep. We also see there is a bit of sleep deprivation, so many things. So there are different aspects told also in terms of management. So we talk about immune modulation as the first priority. We'll come to that. When I say this, it means that we have to work on our immunity. We will have to ensure that the body's processes are very much in place, and there are various ways to do it. So coming to that, and before we deal with that, let me also request all of you to participate in the next question. Next poll for all of you is, do you have any of the following conditions, medical conditions? If not, please feel free to say no, because there is also an option. Secondly, if you have 2 medical issues, then you can probably take one of it which you feel is predominantly troubling you. So can you please launch the poll? So your questions would be diabetes, pre-diabetes, hypertension, increase in cholesterol, arthritis, aches and pains, sleeplessness, Parkinson's disease, memory loss, or none of the above.
There is a problem in poll, ma'am.
In the poll. Okay, so no problem. I think we can also get some answers in the chat box. You can just type out your answers in the chat box, please. Sleeplessness, I can see diabetes. Okay. Some of them are saying none, somebody saying arthritis. So I think it's a mixed. So they see what we have to understand, and why this question is because we need to know that these are the common problems which people acquaint as we age. So when I'm talking about aging, I'm not targeting people only about 65 or 70, but I am definitely talking about aging as a process. Anyway, as we cross 40 is said to be the slow trend of aging, but that's not the age where we say I'm old. Okay, so that's also a disclaimer today. But otherwise, the focus is on individuals above 50, above 60, above 70, as and when each decade passes through, we have different signs and signals which our body gives. And many a times, what is the cause? Our lifestyle itself. So coming to that, so what are the most common health issues when we separate it out? And I said arthritis, when you said, aches and pains, these are some of the other issues which specifically uh, are seen. Gait and balance issues are where we can bracket the problems such as arthritis. It could be knee pain, it could be a shoulder pain, it could be a back pain where you find degeneration in the bones, sleep issues, depression, and cognition issues as well. So, bringing some insights into gait and balance, as people age, the musculoskeletal system, that means the way the bones and the muscles are all, structured, they all start slightly deteriorating and they need more of regulation. This could be one of the reasons why falls and mobility issues happen. And this is where we need to kind of influence the aging process. There are a lot of studies which have demonstrated how yoga, Ayurveda can really help. And it is important for us to understand how these sciences can contribute. Now, when we talk about aches and pains, falls, arthritis is a very common issue. You can also have a fall because of an arthritic joint, because your joint is not that strong enough to bear the weight, and therefore you might probably slip and fall, or your chances of fall increase. Now, this is how a normal joint versus a arthritic joint looks, because it's important for you to know, how it looks, and therefore this picture. So you can see so clearly that the space has reduced. So the red arrow marks very clearly show. So the bone is just sitting, on top of each other, and the mobility, there is a bit of friction which starts, and this is where you can see that your joint starts making sound, a crick crick kind of a sound. Maybe when you walk, especially when you climb the stairs, you start feeling the pain. Now, in common language in Hindi, we might say, घिस रहा है. What is getting the friction is also allowing the joint spaces, especially to rub against each other. And this is what is called as the cartilage, and that's why the space, the fluid in between the bones that is in the joint starts reducing as well. So when we look at the pattern, what do we see when it comes to sleep, especially, is 40 to 70% of older adults have chronic sleep issues, and half of them go undiagnosed. This is extremely crucial for us to understand, because it goes unnoticed. Next is a problem like depression. Women are twice more likely than men to feel depressed. There are a lot of other issues around it. It could be hormones, it could be the kind of separation, stress, especially with children, and a lot more things associated with perimenopause and postmenopause as well. And the higher chances of depression is seen more so between 45 to 64. That's why I also spoke about perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. And when we look at cognition, what does this word cognition mean? Now I'm able to think, I'm able to talk now, and I'm also able to remember what happened today, tomorrow. Now this is where we start understanding that this whole ability is what we call as cognition. We don't see any decline, as such in 40s and 50s. There may be a slow change, which is normal to the body, because there is change everywhere, right from the bones, tissues. Our hands look very different at 40 than when it was at 20. Or we feel, it looks so beautiful. There's hardly any wrinkle, right? And at 40, 50, slowly you start feeling, oh, my skin is a little loose. My maybe face is looking a little different. All these are natural changes, and we have to start adapting to it. So we are not talking just about cosmetic changes, but we are talking about how do we bring in all these inner changes. And this is the trigger point is after 65 or after 70, where you start seeing quick changes, quick deterioration. And how can you still control, or can you still control? Yes, I think definitely we can. That is where what we do in the past plays a very, very crucial role. So here comes some of the tips as we age. Healthy aging can happen with food, the kind of care we give on food. What is the kind of food we take? We suggest to take more plant-based, sugar-free, less of carbohydrates, keep a calorie restriction. And when we talk about consumption of water, and of course, added on to all this is the sleep routine. So Ayurveda lays a lot of emphasis on food. And when I'm specifically talking about sattvic diet, which is otherwise known as sattvic ahara, this is where yoga, Ayurveda, these sciences play a lot of attention into. Because when you take sattvic ahara, it means that food which is easily digestible, which is very well absorbed, assimilated, and then you get the best out of it, because your body needs that support which these sattvic diet gives you. Next is, of course, it also talks about how you cook the food, what kind of food you should not combine, and so many things. So these are the specific aspects, taken in through these traditional sciences, which we have to start adapting. I'll give you some more information on diet. So we have to, how should we eat first? Okay. We are supposed to eat based on the Agni, that is the digestive fire, which can actually help nourish the body. Because if your Agni is not adequate, then how are you going to basically nourish yourself. You might be eating, but suddenly you start bloating, you feel more of gas, so many such issues, especially as the age. If many of you are above 40 and above 50, you will start understanding that suddenly what has happened to me. I was okay maybe many years. Now I start feeling that I eat, a small morsel more, then I start feeling very heavy. This is because metabolism naturally slows down and we will have to support it with the right quantity of food. And what is the quantity of food? Yes, we have got it. Now, how is quantity measured? It says that one fourth of your stomach has to be empty. So you are taking a plate of sabji, dal, bit of rice or one roti, and say maybe some buttermilk. Let's consider this is your platter. Now, with when I say sabji, dal, rice, it can vary in quantity from person to person. Now, if you feel a small bowl of rice feels adequate to you, a small katori, which is normally used at homes, one katori sabzi, one katori dal, and one katori rice, a small chapati or a pulka. If you feel, oh, I'm really feeling full, then I think next day you should start changing, provided you don't have a digestive issue. So you'll have to also map it, of course, take some support, medical advice, and understand. Next, what should your platter contain? Okay, so it should contain a right mix of things like plant-based food like green gram, bit of carbohydrate like rice, wheat, like I just mentioned. Also include the other types of taste. So Ayurveda talks about 6 types of taste. We say that it is madhura, which is sweet, amla, which is sour, lavana, which is salty, katu, which is pungent, tikta, which is bitter, and kashaya, which is astringent. So, how well the platter was made? When you say madura, it means something sweet. We advise that a person starts at food with a bit of sweet because he's hungry in the afternoon, especially. And when you're hungry, you should not suddenly feed something which is sour, spicy, oily, or even otherwise pungent into the stomach. Therefore, that can go, in a very small format, but not necessarily. But otherwise, we say there is a mix of that sweetness, which even comes in rice, which even comes in wheat. So don't always misunderstand sweet as a sweet only, which is sugar, good, and a lot of other things, and none of them are highly indicated, especially sugar. Now, moving on, what else can you include if you're a non-vegetarian? So very less fatty food, but include lean meat, maybe fish mainly. But again, keep it mostly in the afternoon because your digestive fire is very strong in the afternoon, and you need to ensure that it is taken care of. And that's highly important. Now, when you look at lifestyle, of diet. Now, I will bring in some components of yoga and we'll also discuss how it is going to help each problem. Now, we have understood through studies that when you do regular yoga, the hand grip strength, like, see, you can see a kind of apparatus there. So they press and release, or when you hold, what is your grip strength? Even in a person who is suffering from rheumatoid arthritis, it is seen that this hand grip strength starts improving. It reduces the pain and it also improves the mobility. Now, this is just an index for all of you to understand how well it works. So when you do it regularly, why not? You can keep your joint health good, and there is no such dotted line. There's no such rule that yes, when you're 75, you should get a knee pain. There are so many people who also don't have any, and we are so happy to see such elderly in the society. So now, especially this age where we are all, as we age from 40, 50 to 60, 70, that age group needs to take a lot of care because we are in in an environment where we can get susceptible. So not only rheumatoid arthritis, which is a different kind of condition, a common problem like osteoarthritis of the knee, where you saw the photo of the X-ray, which showed how the joint space has changed or reduced. Even in such conditions, we can see yoga helps immensely. And small little exercises, joint loosening, each joint has to be mobilized. That's what is important because it can improve the circulation, reduce your pain, improve the strength as well. Now, coming to some of the mental issues which we see, especially in aging, like Alzheimer's, dementia, we again have a lot of options. But what we have to understand is as we age, brain also ages. There's something called a white matter and a gray matter. So I'm not, going to give you any other anatomy or physiology class. Please don't worry. It's just I want you to hear these words. There's something called a white matter and a gray matter, and both of them have their own role to play as the brain develops and as the brain starts performing. Like we said, we are talking, and there is something active in the brain. Now, as we age, naturally, the gray matter and the white matter start also declining. So that as the decline starts, we start seeing the change. Now, how can you help the decline? What can you do to prevent the decline? That is what we just spoke. Bring in lifestyle measures of yoga, bring in lifestyle measures, especially diet concentration is very, very important. Now, another interesting factor when we are saying all this works, many of you may be thinking, how is it going to work? What happens in the body? Why should we do it? There are people who don't walk at all and we still see they don't have any health problem. Now, I'm doing so many things, but I still have health problems. I'm sure there is this complex scenario which we see in people, and many of them have this question. So, this is something a part of the chromosome, okay, which transfers the genes from parent to the child. Now, if I look like my parents, it's because there's a transfer of a protein, which is through the which is actually what we call as a gene. So here, the chromosome, there is another component called telomerase. Okay, the telomere length actually starts shortening when we age, and therefore we can start seeing that it is associated with the right lifestyle. Then telomere length can be preserved, can be better, and this is how things work. Lifestyle modification, especially because when you deep dive into the body, there are so many changes which happen, and this is something which should motivate all of us to take up and the things which are going to enhance and help us age gracefully. So, a lot of other factors like positive emotions, weight reduction, and also keep the regulation of the blood sugar and the blood pressure. So, few practices for you focusing on yoga. Some loosening practices. Now, here people are doing some strengthening practices of the knee. Simple practices. You can even do it as you're doing the session. So wherever you're sitting, you may be sitting on the chair. So just extend your leg, put your arm below your knee, move your leg forward and backward. So these are some simple techniques which can actually help us feel relieved. Now, you might do once in the morning, but maybe you're at work. People work. There's no age bar to it. Age is always just a number. So we should always keep reminding ourselves to many more anecdotes like this. When you sit for longer duration, you don't need to always have a mat there on the floor, but you can sit on the chair and also do simple practices like this. These are something very much doable. Talking about chair-based practices, then you see one, right? Just lift up the knee, push the knee down. Lift up the knee, push the knee down. And then you just put your arm crossed, put another arm crossed. You can also stretch yourself like this, just sitting on the chair. Now, these are some things which can be inculcated on a regular basis, but doing it just once, like how I just showed, is not going to be useful. So you have to have a disciplined, structure for yourself so that you're able to take up these things regularly. Now, there is a change in the spine. Why are we supposed to concentrate a lot on spine? You can see the deterioration. There's a particular curve which the spine is taking as we age. Therefore, back strengthening practices, muscle strengthening practices for the back muscles. Also, when I say back, it means neck, mid back, upper back, mid back, and the lower back also. So, focusing on this can also help our breathing, because once you start drooping, you have a problem even in breathing, you have a problem even in that heart health. So you have to take adequate care. Some of the other simple practices which you can do on a day-to-day basis is twisting. You can use a prop like a chair. Otherwise, you can even stand and twist. You can even sit on a chair and twist, as simple as twist on a chair. So, of course, there are certain modules which we teach people, and that's where we're able to assist them. These are just, certain tips on day-to-day practices. In addition to what you saw, the next is the Bhujangasana, breathing, or even Bhujangasana as an asana, which is otherwise known as cobra, very helpful for your neck, shoulder, elbow, and arm strengthening. So, as you know, the muscles become a little weaker. Many of them, what do? They will, kind of hold themselves and say, "Oh, are my biceps hanging? I'm, loosening up. Am I aging?" So you don't have to feel that change if you're doing some practices, and this is one of the practice which can actually enhance your muscle strength, especially of the arms. Now, moving ahead, beyond practices, a major aspect which has to come in is relaxation, because relaxation at a deeper level is very, very important for us to take care of ourselves. And this is how the body's inner self starts getting that energy which it needs. And you have to understand that you need to give the deep relaxation to yourself, and you also have to be very, very mindful about the relaxation. Overall, this is going to bring that inner happiness which all of us long for. Now, what are these relaxation techniques? Simple relaxation. Many people have a habit, especially after 60, 65, to take short naps. Not too many, maybe one, maybe none, maybe two. Okay, it depends. Now, when we feel very tired, just lie down and then just close your eyes. Observe your abdomen. Okay, just take a deep breath in, breathe out, and slowly start shifting your attention towards your toes. Slowly start moving your attention from the toes onwards, upward. Mark up on each part of the body and slowly move on to your head region. Now, this has actually enabled that relaxation response in the person, and that is highly essential for the person to be well, because this induces a cellular relaxation, and that's where the metabolism is happening, because we know that the cell is the unit of metabolism. If we can really ensure that changes happen at that level, we are going to see overall changes in our cells. One other point is meditation. People do different kinds of meditation. It is not necessarily to do with a religion. So all religions preach different meditation techniques. So any meditation which can connect your mind and body, which can help improve the positive thoughts in you, which can help you enjoy, every moment of life, which can also engage you because your mind is so free. It thinks all wrong things. And if I give an example in a family, um, a couple, an elderly couple, for example, husband and wife, they have a son and a daughter-in-law, they have a daughter and a son-in-law. Each time, maybe they live alone, both of them. And each time the family comes, stays together, goes back for the first 2 days, they're very low. They feel, oh, how nice would it have been if all my children would have been around me or stay with me. But practically, it may not be possible. And another part of it, they know it. So it's two sides of the coin. The more they feel this, the more they are going to get disconnected in terms of the mind body equilibrium. This disconnect will make them feel depressed. This is how people get into the problems, especially emotional issues as they age. This is a very, very crucial aspect, because once your emotions are disturbed, you start feeling physically unwell. And when you feel physically unwell, it starts manifesting in the form of different health problems. Don't you think this can be one of the reasons for a person to even have a problem like hypertension? Well, that is increase in BP? Yes, very much possible. So bringing in that emotional balance, bringing in the mindfulness in oneself is importantly achieved through meditation. So, want to stress on the last point, which is family and social relations. So we spoke about diet. We spoke about what kind of lifestyle, especially yoga-based lifestyle, you can lead. How it can prevent a problem. How it can also help manage a problem. Yeah, you need some medical advice whenever you want to take help to do all this. Some amount of Ayurveda-based diet, medicines if needed, and the Rasayana Chikitsa I spoke about. Now, everything, for everything to happen, this is very crucial. What kind of intergenerational relationship you maintain? How nice it is to see a family, which has grandparents, uh, parents, and then the kid. Now, we have so much of that support which comes from the family. If we are ready to take it, it will come with pros and cons. I think that is something which we have to accept. And if we accept and go ahead, life is going to be more simple. And in Indian scenario, we still have the probability to uh, get into and frame this kind of a relationship around ourselves. And amongst all this, the sibling relationship is also going to enhance the bonding. And for elderly, it's so important to feel reinforced, feel that they're getting all that emotional support, all that support. There's some special word you can see which is mentioned as esteem support. Now, what is this? Self esteem. After 70, it does not mean the person is not, a valuable contributor to the family. Many a times, maybe, there are people who are still working, who still own businesses. There's so many things, but there are many who are not. They may be dependent mothers, especially in many homes. Um, in such cases, we should never make them feel low at esteem. And this is important for their health. The moment they start feeling I'm getting great support from my family, not necessarily you should say this every day, but it should just get imbibed into them. I think this can make a lot of difference. They should just feel that at any time, I have my son or I have my daughter, I have somebody, to help me out. And social relationships with friends, which is outside the family, is also very important because they would like to talk, interact, and have and cultivate all that relationship around their friends, around people of their age. Like there are so many laughing clubs, and there are so many other the clubs, especially for the elderly. I recently also there was a launch of another club. I was invited there. So people are having all these activities. What is the reason? Because you need that kind of an emotional support, the interconnectedness. It's a bond which needs to develop, and all this is going to help us with health. So overall, if you look at today's session, you can either type or if you can launch a poll, you can do it. So what would you think is the best? Not necessarily today's session. You can also put in your points. The best takeaway is what? Daily yoga, diet, family time, social activities, or all the above. What can you do on a daily basis is also very important. So maybe you can also give some quick answers. Yes, you say all the above. And yes, it is important that we focus on everything because only then, we can bring up ourselves and we can age gracefully because that's where we can see that we live more healthy and we also age gracefully. So thank you very much for your patient hearing. So we can have some interaction the next 10 to 15 minutes, and I'm open to take some questions from all of you. And I hope all of you liked the session as much as I liked preparing the presentation for today's session. So please do share your questions in case you have a few. We'll be happy to take up and answer the questions. You can either unmute yourself, ask a question, or you can also put it in the chat box.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Vasudha. It was a very informative session. See, I've been practicing yoga, but of late, because of menopause and the COVID times and all that, there's a lot of heat getting generated. A lot of sweating also happens, and because of that, sometimes the sleeplessness in the night. Though I'm tired, I go to bed, but still, it takes time for me to sleep. Otherwise, earlier I would go to bed and immediately within 5 minutes I would be off. I would be sleeping, but then on and off this happens. So, what could be the reason for this?
Right. I think very important question. So when you look at the sleep cycle, especially, it's important that we understand that there are a lot of hormonal changes. So as we age, we also develop reduction of sleep. Now this is natural because the hormones like melatonin, which are very essentially regulating our sleep, are also declining. Because of this decline, we see that the sleep also reduces naturally. We don't have too much of bandwidth to control that process which is happening inside, but we definitely can control the processes in terms of enhancing our sleep cycle. So especially at menopause or post menopause, the problem is going to be higher. So one best way is to ensure that you keep away a lot of other things, common things which many understand, like keeping away gadgets, keeping away a lot of electronic media, and also understanding your activity. What do you probably get hyper with? Ensuring that you don't do heavy physical activities maybe 3 4 hours before going to bed. Ensure that you're more relaxed, and also ensure that your dinner is kept more simple. So various other things can be also taken care. And simple addition, since you're already practicing yoga, is inclusion of Brahmari at bedtime. Do a quick relaxation followed by Brahmari. At least 21 rounds of Brahmari at bedtime can help many individuals. Apart from that, if there is still some need, then we might have to intervene with some herbal supplements from Ayurveda. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so do we have any more questions? You're asking if we can have rice in the night. Okay. Reduction of carbohydrate is always advised in the night. Preferably avoid too much of rice or even wheat for that matter, the chapati, and try to keep very light, more vegetable based, a bit of dal, maybe small portion of rice, very small portion, or just one fulka. And sometimes you can also take just boiled vegetables and soup, and just stay lighter in the night. But if you take an early dinner, say like you take your dinner at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, then you might sometimes start feeling hungry at 10, or you might feel that I'm not able to sleep after 10 p.m. This is also a problem. So you have to just match your body requirements. Maybe at that point of time, have dinner at 7 o'clock, and maybe at 10 o'clock, or maybe half an hour, 45 minutes before you go to bed, you can have some fruit or some dry fruits which are easily digestible. So some changes can also be made like this. So somebody is asking if you need to quit coffee. Yes, if you want to sleep well, you have to get off those addictive agents which you can interfere with your sleep, especially after 6 o'clock in the evening. Assuming you're sleeping between 10 and 11, it's very important for you to cut down, because caffeine is a stimulant and it will also interfere with your digestion. And overall, in a day, we definitely don't suggest you to take too many cups of coffee and tea. And I think many are very fond of taking small portions. They show this. No, I just take only this, and I take 3 4 times in a day. May not be right. So you will have to cut down your portions or if you're ready to stop, you can also definitely stop it. And that can really help. It's whether it's coffee or tea or green tea as well. There's a question on dementia as a preventative aspect to dementia. Okay. So what happens in dementia? I was just explaining about the gray matter and the white matter in the brain. And so there is deterioration of certain tissues in the brain which can actually regulate your memory and cognition. So preventative aspect is definitely bringing in some practices which can bring in more oxygenation to your brain. For example, including pranayama on a regular basis, including deep relaxation on a regular basis. These are the practices which can enhance. So that's where you can work on improving your cognitive skills. I spoke about that. So on similar lines, you will have to work. If you just do only walking every day, you may not be able to prevent dementia, but include practices such as pranayama along with your walks can really enhance and your overall brain functions, and that can help you better. So that's why yoga, as such, is a very proven and a scientific methodology which can influence the health of an individual. And don't consider it only as one lifestyle, change like how you would walk or run. There's a lot of difference between such practices and yoga. Always try and combine and try and use the best practices, and that overall will give us good results. I think with this, we will also wish to close on today's session, unless we have any question immediately. Okay. So thank you all for joining in and for your patient participation. We look forward to also getting some feedback from all of you. If you want to listen to some other topics, you can also let us know. I think the team has also shared Google form link. Kindly fill the form so that we get more insights. And you can also watch this session in case you would love to watch it again. Please do watch it on YouTube, because this was just streamed on YouTube as we were all together. So thanks for joining in. Have a great day ahead, and keep connected. Take care of yourselves, and let's all keep ourselves healthy and people around us also healthy. Thank you. Namaste.
So everyone can take the link from the chat box and please give us your valuable feedback. So participants can take up the Instagram and Facebook and YouTube links for to be connected with us for more contents and sessions. Thank you all. Thank you for the evening.